we were sitting around and talking about things we've observed in the past concerning RVers. I was talking with one person, and we were talking about the number of RVers who are coming out, us and a host of others, new RVers, and a couple of things that new RVers are not really aware of are rules and etiquette. And the rules everyone knows, but we're going to still talk about some of them, and we're going to talk about some things that are etiquette alone. Well, the friend that I was talking to, he called a lot of the new RVers COVID RVers, COVID campers is what he called them, because they got their RVs during COVID and they came out and started RVing and not observing the rules and etiquette. And that's what we want to talk about today, the rules and the etiquette of RVing. And they're not really, outrageous. We know rules are rules, and you accept something, and do something, and there are rules. That means you accept the rules that go along with it.
And some things are unwritten, it's just out of common courtesy. It's not all written down in a rule book. It's just common courtesy, the same things you would do in your own neighborhood and respect you would have for your neighbors. You should do the same when you're out camping.
Exactly. And those are the kind of things that we want to talk about. Now, the rules and etiquettes that we're going to talk about is in no specific order. I try not to put more emphasis on one over the other, because they are all equally important. But when you put emphasis on one over the other, then people tend to try to focus on that one and forget about the others, and then next thing you know, you're in some kind of a opinion voicing loudly over it. And we're going to start with one right now, and after we finish this one, we're going to head back to the RV before this rain comes, if you can hear that thunder.
It's not gonna rain. It's fake rain.
I hope not. All right, so Minnie's gonna take this one.
Most campgrounds will have a washer and dryer for your use. Of course, you have to pay for those. When you come in and you put your items in the washing machine, just like this machine here, it says, the washer runs for 30 minutes and the dryer runs for 45. It's very unfair to someone else who's waiting to use the laundry room if you're somewhere asleep or you left and you totally forgot about your clothing being in the washer or the dryer. So a good rule of thumb is to set yourself a timer on your phone to come back out so that you can get your things out so the next person can use the washer and dryer. Other thing is, when you use the washers and the dryers, make sure you get everything out and take your lint out. And they usually have a trash can, which they do here. And please, no dog beds or rugs. I know we love our pets, but this public washing machine and dryer is not a place to wash those items.
And if you do happen to not come back when you're supposed to, and the timer is gone off, and somebody has come in and taken your things out of the wash machine and set them aside, then don't get mad, because the fact of the matter is, no one has to wait for you to come back to use the facilities. So you don't have a right to get mad if you leave your clothes in there and somebody comes and moves them. Next is going to be noise pollution. One thing that we know the rules that says there's a quiet time, and most of those quiet times could range from like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock till 6 or 7 o'clock. But then there are those times that is not quiet time, during the day. People playing the music loudly, shouting and whatnot in there when they're backing in or pulling out or whatever. You know, the fact of the matter is, people wanted to come out and enjoy camping just as you did. And the fact that you come out and you'll start screaming and yelling or playing music loudly, sure, you're outside, but that music is invading someone else's ears. And they came out for peace and quiet, just like you did. And the fact that you decided not to have peace and quiet doesn't mean they have to not have peace and quiet as well.
One of the things I wanted to talk about was the kids. When you're out camping and you have your children with you, and this is mostly, I wouldn't only say this would be like middle schoolers, because a lot of people, they're elementary age kids, or once they get to the campground, they're cut loose. And once they're cut loose, they're ripping and running all over everywhere. And once those kids are out riding their bikes and their scooters and their hoverboards and things like that, they tend to forget that there are cars and trucks and RVs riding these same
and people
streets.
walking.
And people walking. The kids tend to forget that, and it's one thing that they're riding and having a good time, as they should, because they are on vacation or having a nice weekend out. Stay on the roadway, on the asphalt. Don't ride your bicycles up by the restrooms, because most of the bathrooms are posted. Don't ride your bicycles or park your bicycles there, because someone may come out the restroom and trip and fall over and hurt themselves.
Or get slammed by somebody riding a bicycle.
In the doors,
And they
yeah.
just come out after using the bathroom. Next thing you know, they got somebody on a scooter or a bicycle plowing into them when, you know,
It could have been avoided.
Um,
Nothing wrong with kids, but you're going to see a lot more of them.
yeah, there's definitely nothing wrong with having kids. We actually, I mean, we do enjoy
Yes.
interacting with the children, you know, but
At a certain time.
yeah, there's certain things, you know, there's certain places, bikes and whatnot, and especially not riding through somebody's campground across their mats. Remember the issue that happened? The guy
One.
had a bad tote, and he had on the top of the tote where you fill it.
Okay.
He
Maybe
had-
we need to explain to people what a tote is for those who don't know.
Okay. The tote is a tank, and it's portable for you to transport black or gray water from your RV to a dump station when the tanks have filled up and you're in a station, in a park without full hookups, without a sewer hookup. So when you have a tote, it is imperative that the tote is in good operating condition. Because remember the guy who had the tote, and he had duct tape on the top part of it where it fills, and he was transporting it, and he leaked wastewater from his site all the way to the dump station and had very little left in it to dump. And it stunk up the park. So not only the tote, make sure all of your equipment is in good operating order, you know, but something like that, you know, it's a waste hazard, you know. And the other thing is, you know, since we're talking about waste, don't empty your gray tanks or your black tanks on the ground next to your RV.
And your gray tanks are going to be your shower water and your kitchen sink water. Do not put that on the ground.
It stinks too. It
Yes.
stinks too, because you have food in the kitchen tank decaying, and it smells bad, you know. And it's just it's a hazard, you know. It's a waste hazard, so you don't want to do it. All right, it got a little windy outside, and rain started coming down. Not heavy, but it started coming down. What do we leave off with? The tote?
Oh, yeah, we finished with the tote.
Okay.
The next was maybe speed would be a good one to talk about.
Speed in the campground?
Yes.
Yeah.
In the campground, the speed limit is 5 miles per hour. Point blank. Nothing else. Nothing more. Not much to say about that.
Yeah, I mean,
Safety.
there are people, children riding bikes, as we said, people walking their dogs, people just enjoying themselves, and somebody comes in through the campground at 25 miles an hour in a 5-mile zone. Well, that's just totally unsatisfactory.
Unacceptable.
Next. We all love our pets. They're great. And we know the golden rule anywhere you go. Not that a lot of people follow it anywhere they go. But pick up your dog's poop. That's the main thing, right? Keep your dog on a leash. Those are written rules. Here's an unwritten rule. It ain't a rule, unwritten rule, etiquette. Don't walk your dog through someone else's campsite. Don't walk your dog through a campsite that has just been cleaned up and prepped by the host when they're doing that for the next camper to come through. Don't walk your dog into somebody else's campsite to go to the bathroom. Even if you are picking it up, even if they are just peeing, your dog should not be in someone else's campsite using the bathroom. You can walk them on the road, let them go to the bathroom on the side of the road, pick it up. You can walk them to dog parks in the campground that have them. You can walk them near the doggy station, let them go to the bathroom there and pick it up. But you should keep your dogs out of other people's campsites unless you are invited along with your dogs.
Moving forward, the next one is trash in the fire pits. Fire pits are made to burn wood so that the kids can enjoy the ambiance of the fire along with roasting marshmallows and just having a good time sitting around the fire. It's not made to be your trash bin. That's what the dumpsters are for. It's not made to be your ashtray for you to throw a whole box of cigarette butts in there as you finish smoking. Believe it or not, when the camp hosts come through and you didn't use your fire pit for burning wood, they have to pick up every individual cigarette butt that you have thrown in that fire pit. All of them don't always make it inside. They're outside the pit on the ground as well. And do not burn your trash in the fire pit. That's what the dumpster is for. Point blank. Nothing else to say about that. You just need to put your trash in the trash can.
Yeah. There you go. Because we don't want to smell plastic burning when we're sitting around trying to enjoy the smell of oak burning, the crackling of the fire, and the smell of wood burning. That's part of the experience, not plastic. That's just outrageous. So here's one that is purely consideration, pure consideration for your neighbors when you're camping close to someone. In a lot of situations in campgrounds, RVs are pretty close to one another, and literally someone's picnic table, their grill could be right next to your sewer hose or just feet away. And when you pull that lever and open up your sewer tank, it smells. So don't dump your tanks when someone is eating next to you, because that is totally inconsiderate. The other thing, is, even when if they're that close and you want to dump your tank, maybe give them a little heads up. Hey, I'm going to dump my tank. If they're outside, if they're not outside, if no one's there, then okay, dump your tank. But try and do it at a moment that's not just convenient for you, but convenient for your neighbor. That's just being considerate.
Correct. So the next thing is a real big one for us. and it's going to be people cutting through your campsite. So when you're at home in the privacy of your home and you're sitting inside your house and your yard is cut, manicured, whatever, the last thing you want to see is some kids, whether you know them or not, as your neighbors, cutting through your yard as a pathway. And even worse than that, riding a bicycle through your yard. Now these are things that you would not do if you were at home. Well, it goes the same for your campsites.
Yeah.
If you're camping and you have kids, they need to be told not to ride their bicycle through someone's campsite. The campsite is only so big, so wherever you're going when you cut through, it only takes another half a second to ride around and get to the same exact spot.
Exactly.
So, kids will, I'm sorry, not only kids, but you will have adults who will also do the same thing. They will cut through two sites, the people sitting out, eating, or whatever, and they just cut through the site as if it's nothing to it. So.
And then they look at you surprised when you say something to them. I mean, you pay for that little plot of land that you're on.
For the time that you paid for it for.
You don't pay for the plot of land. Just because you paid does not mean you have a right to go everywhere in the park. You have a right to go all common places. You have a right to your spot. And that's it. Your site and the common place. You don't have a right to cut through anybody else's site. Now, give and take. We know sometimes, people want to get to better facilities than the ones that's closest to them. And we don't have a problem if someone's cutting across the backside of the camper. Just don't come too close. Don't mess with anything when you're passing through.
Yeah.
But coming through, we once had a lady come through and move our chair so she can get through.
And I've also seen a child ride across our rug, our mat that is in front of our door.
With her mother standing right there.
Cutting through as well. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's hard to blame the child if the parent is doing the same thing. So, unfortunately, things like this happen, but we as campers, and you all know, all of you all who are out there, when you get your spot, you hope that it's a nice spot, you hope that it's peaceful, you hope that it's enjoyable, and you don't expect to see a herd of people cutting through between you and your RV while you're sitting there trying to enjoy yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
And then people who are backing in and setting up their campsite or breaking out to pull out, don't bother. Let them get into their campsite. It's a stressful enough moment to back your RV into a campsite and to remember to set everything up properly. Here's the worst thing, one of the worst things that can happen. Someone's backing in, they get out of the vehicle, you start talking to them, and then next thing you know, they forget to do a very important step and they go to the next step thinking they did it. And then when they unhook, their RV starts rolling because they forgot to put their chocks out. That's just not cool. If someone is backing in and getting ready to set up, let them have that time to do it. And if it looks like, now,
if they need your help.
If they need your help, and if it looks like they're having a hard time and you want to offer your help and they accept it, then fine. Do give them the help. If they don't want to accept it, don't try to press it. Just walk away.
Don't be offended, because usually husband and wife teams together have already figured out a system of how they're going to help each other to get this RV into that site. And for someone else to come in and using different words, of left and right, or driver's side, passenger side, or, whichever, it confuses everything. Yeah. So it's better to let them do it unless they really need your help, and they'll let you know if they need some help. They're having a real hard time.
I mean, the fact of the matter is, people painstakingly get to a point where they trust one another to do exactly as the other say. We went through some stressful moments.
Yeah, we went through some arguments.
To getting to the point where, where
some arguments, some fussing. You're not the boss of me.
But we got to the point where, you know, I trust what my wife is telling me to do. Now, you know, I'll pull out, I'll go forward until she says stop, and then I'll tell her to tell me when to start bringing it in. And hands down, it always works.
Yeah. And if he doesn't really get what I'm saying, I always tell him, no matter what he's saying, stop the vehicle, get out, and come and look for yourself. Then you can see what I'm talking about. It makes it easier.
Yeah. And when you do that, when you get to that point as well, you're not blocking the road. So you, number one, you don't have because you got to that point where getting in is easy. Now you've become a boring camper. So people are not standing out watching and waiting for you to make mistakes. So, and also you're not blocking the road, holding traffic up, and people standing up on the rails of their car looking down there to see what's going on. You know? Yeah. Because that just adds to the stress.
Everybody putting in reverse to go down another way. Yeah.
Yeah, so.
But it happens because sometimes it takes time, you know. So if you got somebody who is having a problem backing up, getting their RV in their sight, you're gonna have to be patient, because that same patience came to you at some point, and will in the future too, when you get one of those tight spots where there's a tree or something blocking you from being able to get in easily.
So that's it. You know, they're, like I said, they're just things that, you know, help you not become that person, you know, who's inconsiderate and, you know, somebody want to fuss at, because we've seen people get ready to come to blows over craziness. We've seen a couple who were just as nice and sweet and on the piano and the guitar, and then when it came time to hook up and get ready to leave, oh my gosh, it was crazy. It was
they
like,
were no longer playing the piano and guitar. They needed prayer. Because there was some beep, 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 beep words, beep, beep.
Yeah. And people were standing there looking.
Are these the same people we saw yesterday?
Sit there with the keyboard. Oh,
stop it. And we were some of those people sitting out in front of our RV like, oh my God.
We pulled up chairs, man.
But anyway.
So, yeah.
And it's not to pick on them. They just didn't have a good system, you know, together. You know, if either she wasn't given the right information to him, or more than likely, he didn't want to hear it because he thought that he was doing the right thing as the driver. So either way, it caused a headache for them.
Yeah.
Not for us.
Yeah, because I don't need to know exactly how far I am from something. All I need to know is when to stop.
Right.
And
okay.
I trust her to tell me that.
Oh, I'm going to tell him for sure.
So, you know, that's it. Have any questions? Then go ahead and hit us in the comments, and we will give you an answer. And, you know, thanks for watching. And, you know, don't forget to, there it is, hit that subscribe button.
Oh, okay.
And ring that bell. All right? And get your notifications. And please, get that thumbs up. All right? Thanks.
See you soon.
Deuces.